Hello, everyone. Welcome to Team Call. Jamie Haskin here, Diamond Ambassador, and we are going to be talking tonight about how to maximize our time and go into some really good specifics so that it can help create success and results, what we all want, right? So before I kick that off, though, I'm going to turn this over to Candace Anderson. She is an incredible friend that I've now known for years because of this business. And she has her health testimony that she's going to share. So, Candace, tell us a little bit about you and share kind of your story here with us.
Hey friends, welcome. Thanks for having me. My name is Candace. So, what I want to start out with saying is I wish that I was set up to be able to share my screen tonight so that I could share some pictures because in full transparency, I feel like pictures speak volumes. And so because of that, I have some pretty powerful before and afters. I'm going to drop a little collage that I have in the team page comment section of this post so that you can go reference that and have something to grab and snag from to correlate with this testimony. But the biggest thing that I can tell you is I have like a hot second to give you an overview that could take a whole call talking about my testimony. But what I want to highlight is what I started for and what I ended up seeing as results, which are kind of two different things. So I started for primarily the business on top of being proactive for my thyroid because my friend and upline and sponsor, Emily Gernot, had been sharing so many stories about her thyroid experience and how gut health was connected to your hormones, namely, importantly, your thyroid. And I knew thyroid disease ran in my family. And so I was like, well, I know I need the business, which is a whole nother testimony in itself. Um, but I also know that thyroid disease runs in my family. Maybe I should be proactive. And I couldn't believe her results. And so I was like, what do I have to lose? Let's give it a go. And while I know I'm being proactive about my thyroid and preventative health, what I didn't anticipate was the energy shifts, which actually, in hindsight, is connected to your thyroid. I learned so much about that. The other thing that I wasn't anticipating, I thought I was relatively healthy. I didn't think I had that much weight to lose. It had kind of creeped on. I'd kind of gotten comfortable in life. Um, but your girl was carrying some inflammation and some pounds, okay? And that was a huge unintended beautiful result. And then thirdly, I've struggled with adult acne my entire life. And I didn't realize how connected our gut health was and our overall well-being was to your acne or to your skin health, to your skin microbiome. Okay. So those three things alone were not expected and gladly received. So I've been here for 6 years now. I was a COVID baby, but I will tell you that I started to see results and changes within the first few months of being consistent. That's the key. Consistency is key. And so I encourage you, if you're early on in your journey, don't give up, stick with it. Things might even get a little rougher before they get better because, there's this whole thing called detox, and we all think we're like pretty healthy until we start to detox. And then you're like, oh, this is a thing. Okay, all right. And you're probably going to go through some phases of it, of peeling the layers of that onion back. And I just want to encourage you to stick with it, keep going. There are so many things that you probably don't even know how hard your body is working internally. That's why I encourage you to keep fueling it with the good stuff. So I'll drop my before and afters in the chat as well.
Love it. Thank you so much, Candace. There's just so much I think that many of us start with and don't realize the benefits that come later. And thank you for sharing that in the comments too. So if you want more of her story, make sure you check that out and grab that from her. So, all right, let's pivot over to our call now. And again, before I get started, I'm going to let you know, please grab a paper and pen or use your phone or whatever you want to use to take notes because I'm definitely going to have some questions. I don't have a PowerPoint prepared, but I have some questions and an activity we're actually going to take time to do. So be prepared for that ahead of time right now. Um, so comment me in the comments if you can relate to any of this. I feel like I've been being pulled in a million directions. I sit down to work and I don't know where to start. I sit down to work, but I get distracted more easily than I care to admit. I multitask and accomplish a little bit of everything, but not necessarily what matters most. I avoid the things that feel hard. I work, but I don't always feel effective. I definitely have felt these things at one point or another, or now, or whatever. And I'm guessing pretty much everybody on this call has to some capacity. So the good news is that this is common and we've all probably been there, right? But the better news is that we don't have to be a victim in our own story. These do not have to be reasons to struggle, they can be opportunities for growth. So, I still feel some of these things. I have felt some of these things. So I've been in the pit, I've been paralyzed, and can it make work feel harder? Absolutely, yes. But, and this is the big, big but here, I do not look at any of these examples and see failure or a downward spiral. I see possibility, I see solutions. So stick with me on how this is all going to turn into a really good thing. And we're going to be honest with ourselves on this call. And don't worry, I'm not going to ask you to be honest to other people. You can keep that to yourself, but I do want you to be honest with yourself because that's the most important thing. So the first question I want to ask you guys to answer and to write down is, do you actually know how much time you spend working on your business each day? Not how much time you intended to work, not how much time you think that you worked. How much time did you actually spend, and what do you actually do during that time? So write that down. You can think about it or reflect on it more later as well. Have you guys ever heard the quote, we tend to judge others by their actions and ourselves by our intentions? I have found that can be very true at times. We can easily see or assume what someone else is or is not doing, gauge their efforts by, what we assume they are or are not doing. But then when it comes to ourselves, we look at what we're meaning to do, what we intended to do, what we've thought about doing all day long. So it feels like we're working nonstop. Anyone relate or feel like that? So I'm going to ask you, are you doing everything that you think that you're doing, or even that you maybe used to do, but don't do anymore? So from personal experience and years of coaching, I know how much energy that we can waste when our thoughts are consumed or even filled with guilt about what we have to do yet, when the actual action of doing hasn't even happened yet. So you feel like you're, all day long thinking about what needs to happen or what you need to do or things about your business, but when push comes to shove, what is the action that actually has happened? Maybe not as much as it's consumed your brain, right? That is draining. And of course, there's interruptions and distractions, scrolling, getting sidetracked, checking messages, starting one thing and maybe jumping to another. So what are we going to do about that? So first of all, I'm going to talk about tracking your time. We have to get a pulse on our business. You can't maximize what you haven't measured. So for the sake of awareness, my challenge to you is for the next, say, month, put pen to paper and actually track your business activity each day, whatever you do. Record when you worked, record how long you worked, and what you specifically did during that time and for how long you did that specific activity. And it made me think about like recording. I don't know if you guys have ever recorded, what you ate for whatever reason. I had to do something for a doctor once and had to sit down and like record what I ate in a day. But if you've ever done that, I'm guessing at least for me, I was more conscious of what I was eating when you actually have to write it down. You might think twice about what you put in your mouth if you have to show somebody else what you're eating in a day, right? So you might be more intentional and more mindful. So my guess is if you do this for the next month, you already might find yourself improving in your effectiveness if you're putting pen to paper. Another thing you might notice is you might be surprised about what you're actually accomplishing and what you might be missing, the amount of time that it might be taking you to do certain things. So follow through on that. That's your first challenge. Second thing to talk about is time blocking. You don't find time, you assign it. So, for some of you, this might be new. For a lot of you, you've heard about the whole concept of time blocking because we've talked about it, we've read books about it. Maybe you've heard about it, but you did not implement it yet. Maybe you used to implement it, but you aren't currently. Or maybe you just need to fine tune what you're currently doing. So, whatever it is, wherever you fall on that, just listen for something in this content that you can take and apply to your business. So, write down and ask yourself, how much time can I realistically give my business? Be that daily, be that weekly. What does that look like? Is it 30 minutes a day, an hour, 2 hours, 4 hours? Maybe it's broken up in 20-minute increments. Maybe it's 1 hour on one day and 5 hours on another day. It doesn't all have to be the same as everybody else's. But you get to decide what you can give to build your business, not for the income you are making now, but for the income that you will be making when you hit your top goals. And if that's being a jewel, being a diamond, then that's well over 6 figures, right? So the time that you are going to put in for that. For some of you, you're already putting in consistent time. So the goal isn't necessarily to work more. The goal is to become more intentional with the time that you have. So after you write down that time, your next step is to put that time into your calendar. So if you use a paper calendar, if you use your Google Calendar on your phone, whatever that is, block in that specific time that you are committing to. Just like you would block in a doctor appointment for yourself or for your kids, school, sports, whatever it is, block that time in and protect your time. And for that matter, block in time with your family, block in other priorities that you have. And if you do not respect your time by prioritizing it and protecting it, then no one else will respect it either. It has to start with us. And I know we don't have the time to do that all now, so comment in the chat if you're committed, say I will. If you're committed to blocking that in after this call tomorrow morning, as soon as you can, actually follow through on this and just do the step, right? Okay. Next thing to talk about is focus. So now that we have the time blocked, what is actually the focus in that time? And more time doesn't automatically equal more results, right? So 11 years of doing this business, I watch people build very differently. Some may have put in more hours than others, but there are some that I have seen who have done quadruple the amount of work in a smaller amount of time, maybe say in an hour compared to 4 hours for somebody else, because they are laser focused. They don't get sidetracked. They know where they're going, what needs to happen today, what activity actually moves the needle, moves their business forward, and they execute differently. So, who is awesome at multitasking? Right? Some of us love to multitask, and I am just going to put this out there that this might be a moment where we want to put multitasking aside. We can often wear that as a badge of honor, especially as moms who just had to multitask to get through the days. Like it's a thing, it just has to happen, right? But multitasking doesn't always produce like productivity how we would like it to, right? Sometimes it's just doing several things inefficiently at the same time, which ultimately slows us down and makes us less effective while still draining us. So, when you can, challenge yourself to give full attention to the time that you've blocked in, full attention to your business. And when you block in time with your family, full attention to your family and set your phone aside. One of the easiest ways to create more time doesn't always have to be including adding more hours. It's eliminating the wasted moments inside the hours that we already have, right? So that's how we 10x our time, how we create more time when we can do it more efficiently. So now what are you going to do with that time once you're focused? So first, deciding what activity is going to move the needle in your business. You've time blocked, you've put it in your calendar, you're sitting down to work. What activity are you going to do that moves the needle? What's the priority, even what you do first? Just some quick things to mention. I'm not going to go into details of all this, but the basic things that we often even do power hours on for time blocking would be the posting. That's your storefront, how you educate, how you add value, how you increase the like, no trust with people around you, people on social media, right? Another thing is new contacts. That's offering your product, offering the business opportunity to new people every day, opening new doors and conversations. And then, of course, the follow-ups, which is keeping those conversations and relationships going. And you have your customers, any current people taking the products, checking in with them. It is just as important to retain your people as it is to bring in new people. Absolutely 100% you need to retain your people and take care of them. And then second thing along with that is use a timer to keep you focused for a specific period of time. So if you've time blocked and you time blocked an hour, maybe you're going to time block 10-minute increments or 15-minute increments or 20-minute increments, and you're going to designate what you're going to do in each of those times. And if you work laser focused with a timer, you're not as likely to get distracted by other things that are going to pop up when you're on that specific task. So clarity, I want to talk about then what are you trying to accomplish in the work that you're doing? Why are we actually doing this? So some questions to write down to reflect on. What is my goal for the month? What action steps am I taking or will I take to help me achieve this goal? So goal, action steps, and then, excuse me. And you want to have both because it's like two sides of the same coin, right? You have to have the action that goes with the goal. So those go together. And then what am I doing consistently to learn, develop my skills, invest in myself? What is that? What am I doing consistently? Daily, maybe it's weekly. If we're not being intentional, then it's likely not happening. So what are you committing to in that area? So for example, if my goal is I want to rank up to gold or ruby, or I want to have this amount of point growth by the end of the month, then the activity would be I'm going to have this many new conversations. I'm going to follow up with X amount of people. Maybe I'm going to attend X trainings or develop a specific skill set to help in that area. And that's going to be your activity that you're writing down. And this is something obviously we can do at the beginning of every month and then adjust the activity as needed to achieve your goals. And always, always, always share with your upline. So you can send that to them at the beginning of every month and send them to that or send it after this call as well. And I was just watching, actually, this made me think of this. I was watching my husband and son target practice with their bows just the other day. And if Ronan my son, never practiced, he'd probably have a less chance of hitting that deer come bow season, right? And even more so, if he closed his eyes and did not aim, then there's a good chance then he wouldn't even come close to hitting that deer, right? I mean, who knows where that would go? Quite dangerous. So instead, he prepares, he practices, he aims, he keeps his eyes open, and he shoots, right? So you may not hit your goal every single month. That's okay. Just want to point that out there for those who have missed goals. We've all missed goals. We've been there, right? You're not going to hit your goal every single month. But if you aren't aiming at anything, if you just close your eyes and see what happens, then how are we going to ever hit the goals, right? So get back to doing that intentionally if you've kind of fallen short from that. All right, personal standards and duplication. I want you guys to ask yourselves, what are some minimum standards I want to hold myself to each month? And for example, I know a lot of you were around when I started as well, so you'll know this. But 11 years ago when we started, and it came from our upline, it came from Fallon and down, and it was like a team-wide thing that was just kind of the standard as we were told and held that to ourselves is to get 3 personal joins every month. So the goal was to go silver every month personally, and then people that we came in to do the business, that was the goal that we shared with them every month. Your goal is to go silver, to get 3 joins. So that was kind of the standard that we would set for ourselves each month. And then, of course, on top of that, our standard was committing to our business meetings. So for us, that was team call, book club, coaching, and we offer group coaching now for every rank. So you're at silver or any rank above, we have group coaching for you guys now once a month. So that's something you can plug into as well. So schedule that in your calendar. You can even set it on your calendar to where it alerts you 15 minutes before a call. So you get reminded if that's something that you tend to forget. So it doesn't mean I don't miss occasionally a call because life happens. We all have life happen. But there are also things I will step away from to attend the calls because I decided that they're a priority, right? Or if I can help it, I'm not scheduling things on top of them. So what you value, how you show up, what you invest in, you are modeling that to your team. And if it's only you right now and you don't have builders under you, that's okay. Start modeling it for yourself and keeping promises to yourself because it's going to shape you into a leader who is ready and a leader who your future builders are going to follow. So, activity right now, we're going to take a second. So, here's where I'm actually going to pause and let you do this for a second. Um, for focusing on maximizing, going back to maximizing our time. So, what is slowing me down? That's the question I want you guys to ask yourself. If you think about when you sit down to work and you get started, what is slowing you down? Brain dump whatever comes to mind on a piece of paper. What is slowing me down in my business right now? It could be, for example, you have interruptions, scrolling, bad habits, not knowing who to contact, not knowing what to say, follow up, overthinking posts, taking too long to create content, not knowing what to do after someone says yes. Maybe you have specific fears. Maybe you lack confidence. Maybe you don't have you're missing a skill set that you think you need. Not knowing what to prioritize. So don't overthink it. Whatever it is, what feels hard right now? What feels like is slowing you down in your business right now? And just take a minute. I'm going to pause and give you just a minute here to write down. All right, if you need more time, you can finish that list afterwards here. Um, so really ultimately, the purpose for that is we're identifying problems, right? Which is a really good thing, I think, because problems don't have to be roadblocks. They can just be an indication for a solution that's needed to create the growth that we want and the success that we are looking for, right? So it's just like a check engine light when that comes on in a car, okay, we need to figure out what's wrong and fix it so we can keep moving forward. So everything you just wrote down right now is just a problem that we get to solve. It's not a reason to stop. It's not evidence that you're bad at business. It's not something you have to figure out alone. It's just a problem to solve, right? And the more problems that we can solve, the more you can 10x your business because you're going to create more time and efficiency and results, right? So, for example, if there's a skill set that is like missing, right? You're not sure what to say. You're going to look for solutions. What can you do? Watch trainings, ask your upline, get on the group coaching and ask your question on there. Write down plans and save somewhere, that you can grab later for the future. If you're like, okay, here's what I can say in this situation, I'm going to put it somewhere where I can easily grab in the future as well, right? So I use the note section of my phone a lot for that. If the problem is interruptions in time, commit to those time blocks, delegate what you can to others in your home, have talks with your kids and husbands, and have like a family meeting to get on the same page to explain to them why you're doing this so they see value in it. Maybe you can put a sign or a picture up so your kids can see it when mom is working. And then maybe on the other side, it changes if they can come in, because you don't need to be in, you can be interrupted now or you're done working. Or I've done it before where I said, hey, this is when my kids were really little and you can start at quite a young age for this once they can understand, but I need 20 minutes and then after that we're going to go outside and play. So, or you could do that the opposite way if you want. So communicating with your kids and giving both sides of that. So, if I had someone once, I figured out that they were taking an hour to do one post. I'm like, oh, wait a minute, we need to figure this out. Why is this taking so long? So we dove into like what their process was and how can we narrow that in and plan ahead or use other posts for inspiration. You can even use ChatGPT, which I will caution personally, I think, you want your own voice. So either ask for an idea from them and then tweak it to add your own thoughts on that. Or I've before brain dumped my own post, but then put it in there and ask them to clean it up a little bit. Sometimes I ask them to make it more relatable and they can tweak it a little bit for that. So, um, don't know who to reach out to, print off your friends list, organize, write down names. Anyway, there's so many examples from whatever you guys have said it or written down or whatever that is. So don't run from things that feel like problems. Don't run from things that feel hard or don't ignore them or just brush over them, right? So the whole point is solve the things that show up as problems or blocks in your business so that when we can sit down to work, you can feel more prepared, more confident, work more efficiently, and improve a skill set. So, whatever that is. So, use that as a guide to, okay, what can I do? Use it as something empowering. What can I now do to fix that so it's not a problem? And you don't have to do that alone. Talk to your upline if you need help, like I said, or use group coaching. Another way to approach it is ask yourself, if this happened, I'd feel more prepared. Or if I was better at this, then I'd be more successful. Or if I could do this, then I'd feel more confident. Again, go to work then to solve that problem and create it for yourself. Take action, take the bull by the horns. If I'd be more confident if I created a silver, okay, I'm going to go figure out how to create a silver. I'm going to watch more trainings. I'm going to make sure I'm implementing things that other people are doing who are creating silvers. If I would feel more confident if I could close the deal, I'm going to go to work with trainings and putting into action and seeing how that changes. So use the problems, use your insecurities to empower yourself into solutions and actions and success. Okay. All right. So in closing here, we're wrapping this up. I'm gonna blah blah blah. I'm gonna say 5 things for you to write down. And I'd like you to take 5 minutes after this call, just really quick answer them before you even move from where you're sitting, just so it gets done. So number one is my goal for this kind of wraps up the call a bit. So my goal for this month is, that's number one. My goal for this month is, number two, the activities that will move me toward that goal are, I'm going to paste this in this comment section here too. Hopefully it pastes correctly. Number three, the biggest thing that currently is slowing me down is. Number four, the solution I'm going to pursue is. And number five, one action I will take tomorrow is. And again, this is in the chat now. I did copy and paste those questions in the chat if you need to see those. So take a few minutes after the call, answer those, share that with your upline immediately. It makes it more real for you and it creates accountability. And listen, you guys, you can look at things that are hard in your business and let them become excuses, or you can decide that they're problems that you're capable of solving, right? You can stay stuck in what you don't know, or you can learn it. You can keep saying you don't have enough time, or you can start maximizing the time that you already have. Your business doesn't need more scattered effort. It needs intentional growth. So get clear, get focused, solve the problems, take action, and then do it again tomorrow. So, all right, you guys, we will go ahead and end there. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you next time.